En un mundo cada vez más conectado y digital, EvoPoint es la empresa de tecnología confiable y enfocada en las necesidades del cliente en el mercado dominicano. Con más de 10 años de experiencia, hemos creado servicios y soluciones personalizadas que superan las expectativas en calidad, tiempo y costo. Contamos con una sólida cartera de clientes nacionales e internacionales, incluyendo empresas de servicios, bancos y aseguradoras, todas líderes en sus categorías. Nuestros servicios abarcan el desarrollo de software, servicios UX/UI, QA testing automatización, data analítica, computación en la nube, ciberseguridad, intranets, portales web y arquitectura de soluciones de software. Contamos con un talentoso equipo de colaboradores que son clave en nuestro éxito, permitiéndonos ofrecer un servicio coherente y de alta calidad a cada uno de nuestros clientes. Si buscas un socio confiable y centrado en el crecimiento, contáctanos hoy mismo y descubre por qué somos la mejor opción en tecnología. Seamos aliados estratégicos en el éxito de tu negocio.
Okay, so let's get started. So one of the biggest reasons why we use Git and GitHub is for many reasons, actually. There's collaboration, so you can work with multiple people. When you're working on a co-op or on an internship, or when you're working full-time and you're working on a project with your team, you need to collaborate somehow. So this is what most companies use. And if you're working on a project with your friend, you can also use Git and GitHub because it's an easy way to work together and manage your files. And there's also time travel. And it's not actual time traveling, but you can go back and look at your changes that you made before. So let's say you made a mistake, you can actually go back to before you made that mistake. And that makes it really easy to code. And also there's documentation. So it's really easy to document your code as you're going. So Git and GitHub is a really great tool for that. And there's lots of more tools that you'll probably learn when you start using it. So I know I've been talking about Git and GitHub, but what are they and what are the difference between them? So first we have Git. So Git is a version control system, and that sounds like a hard word, but it actually just means you're controlling different versions of files. So let's say when you're doing a project at school, probably working on an essay or something, you might want to make a draft first, and then you want to make another draft, and then another draft. You want to control the changes that you're making and those versions of the files. So that's basically what Git is. There are different tools that you can use to keep track of the changes in your project. So think of it like Google Docs, but for code. So how many people here have used Google Docs? Okay, nice. So most people have used Google Docs before. That's really good. So if you've used Google Docs or Google Drive, then you've used version control. And now we have GitHub. So GitHub is an online platform for Git. So you can do a lot of different code collaborations on it. You can use Git visually, but you can also do other things on it. It's really cool. Actually, how about I show you right now what is Git? Does everyone have an account already? We put in the description of the event to create an account. But in case you haven't made an account yet, this is basically what it looks like. Can you see my screen here? Yes. Okay. So this is my GitHub account. So as you can see, there's some activity. So you can actually see all your friends' activity on your newsfeed. It's kind of like a social media as well. And on the side here, you have your just different repositories. We'll talk about that later. And then we also have like some different functionalities that you could use. But this is what it looks like. It's really easy to use, and we'll go through it today. So why use version control? So there are two main reasons why you would want to use version control. Because emailing a file around is painful. So I'm not sure if any of you have done group projects yet in school. What year are most of you in? You could just type in the chat like what year you're in. Okay, so I'm seeing like a different groups of 1, 2, and 3, but mostly 1. So most of you are in first year, so you may not have done group projects yet, but if you were doing a group project, you would have to edit your file at home, and then your group member would have to edit their file at home, and then you have to email it back and forth to each other, right? So a good way to control that is using Git, because you can each work on your project in your own space, and then using Git, you can combine those files easily and in a streamlined fashion. And another way is, remember before I was talking about draft 1, draft 2, draft 3 of a project? When you're opening a project in Git or GitHub, instead of making multiple files, you can just log the changes in one file, and it does it automatically for you. And we'll talk about how you can do that. So those are the two main reasons why you would use Git and GitHub, because you can log your changes as you go instead of making files. And you could also work with other people, and it organizes the changes that are happening as you go. So if you've used Google Drive again, a folder in Google Drive is similar to a repository in GitHub. So the word repository is just like a fancy word for file folder, and it holds all your files. And that's the word that we're going to use when talking about GitHub. We're going to be using the word repository or repo, because that's what people use online. And is everything going okay? Does anyone have any questions that anyone confused? Or give a thumbs up if you're feeling good about this. Okay, nice. Let me know if you want me to go slower, if everything's okay. Otherwise, we're going to be going to the walkthrough of the platform, and then we're going to talk about the concepts, and then we'll talk about contributing to a repository. Okay, so for the key terms that we're going to talk about in this section is repository, which we talked about earlier, is a project folder where your code is. And then we have pull request. And pull request is basically a way to ask someone to make changes to their code. So let's say my friend has a repository and I want to make some changes to it. I can create a pull request, which is just asking them to make those changes, and then it requires their review to accept it. And then there's also issues. Issues are a way to share a problem about someone else's code. So if my friend had a repository and I saw that there were errors in it, I could report an issue with the code, and I don't have to submit a solution to it, but I can. And it's just like a way to bring light to issues in a project. So if you open up GitHub on a tab in whatever browser you're using, you will see in the navigation bar, first you have the logo, which is just to go home. Then you have the search button, search bar to search repositories. Then you have the pull request button. And this is where you can see all the pull requests that you have opened. And then in the next button, you see issues. So issues are any issues that you've opened or worked on. And beside it, you have Marketplace. Marketplace is where you can get some tools or like developer extensions that you want to download. And then there's also Explora, which is like similar to an Explore page on Instagram. It shows you trending repositories, repositories that may interest you. And basically what you'll see is open source projects. If you've heard that word before, it's basically projects where anyone around the world can contribute to them. So they're public repositories and they're open to developers all around the world. So if you're interested in developing and you feel like you want to contribute to a global project, you can go to your Explore page and check out something that might interest you. And if you go to the right-hand side, top right-hand side, you'll see a bell, which is any notifications that you have, and then a plus symbol, which makes you, you can create any projects or repositories here. And then here you have your avatar, and this is where you can open your settings. So this is just a walkthrough of the platform that we're doing. So I have a repository that we can all work on. So here's a link that you can copy and post it in your browser. Sure, I'll put the link in the chat. Oh, Alex put the link in the chat. So just to recap what we talked about, see, we have the home button here. And then we have search repositories. And then we have pull requests. So this is a pull request I made. You can see the ones that you created, pull request assigned to you, mentioned, and any requests that need your review. And then you have issues. So in issues, this is one of the issues that we'll be working on later today. So that's a surprise. Don't look at that yet. And then we have the marketplace, which is where you could check out the different tools. And then you have the Explore page where you can check out open source projects. And then you could check out any topics that you have. Let's say I want to learn about like command line, PWA, gulp, or any of these topics. You can see like trending, but yeah, you get the point. It's like a blend of Git platform, but also like a social media platform kind of for developers. So if you open the link that I sent earlier, or yeah, that I showed you earlier, We're going to go through the repository so you can look at it on your own browser and also follow along with the slides. So the first tab that you'll have is the code tab. So this is all the files that are in the project. So there'll be code files like .py or .java, .txt, .md. And then you'll have issues. Issues is the tab that has, remember we were talking about before, like issues with a project that people might propose. So this is where any specific issues to the project will be posted. And let's say you want to contribute to someone's open source code. A good tip to know is check out their instructions for opening an issue, because some developers will have specific instructions that they want you to do when you're opening up an issue. For example, they'll have like, they want you to put a certain tag or label on your issues so that it's easy to search through. And then the third tab is a pull request tab. And if you want to contribute code to someone's repository, this is where you'll open a pull request. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're all going to be making pull requests. And I have a poll just to check in on how we're doing. We don't have the poll set up, but you can use the reactions. So 1 second. So for the reactions, put a thumbs up for the first. Actually, let me read you the question first. So if I want to make changes to someone else's project, I should open a, so if it's message, put a thumbs up. If it's pull request, clap. If it's a new version, put a check mark. And then if it's all of the above, put an X. Okay, so yeah, it's pull request. So everyone put claps. Someone else put all of the above, but the real answer is pull request. So we went over some of the very basic terms, but there's a lot more terms that we need to learn before we start contributing to projects using Git. So first we have fork. So fork is when you make a copy of someone else's repository. So let's say, for example, you were back in high school or elementary school and your teacher has worksheets for you to do. Your teacher has an answer sheet, which is going to be like your master document. And then your teacher is going to give you a copy to everyone, right? So everyone is basically like forking that master or original document, right? Does that make sense? And then you have branches. So a branch is like a parallel version of the master copy of a repository. And when you're making a branch allows you to edit code without editing someone else's code. So for example, if I have a copy and my classmate beside me has a copy, if they start writing their name and they start answering questions, obviously it doesn't change the paper that I'm holding in my hand, right? So that's exactly how things are managed in GitHub. Everyone makes their own branch that they can work on, and then you can combine your answers later in the end. And then you have staging. So the term staging is just basically when you're making changes to your documents, but you don't want to necessarily confirm that that's your final answer. So, you know, when you're like drawing something, it's like you're drawing it in pencil. And then you have commit. So commit is when you have your staged changes, but you want to officially put them into your branch, which is like writing in pen, like you're sure that this is what you want. Does that make sense? And then, so basically when you're making changes to a document, you stage them and then you commit them when you're ready. And then finally, there's the term merge. So when you have all the changes in your branch that you want, and you want to officially merge them with the master document, and you want everyone to know what your changes are, then that's when you're merging it. And then in order to merge, you have to create a pull request, and then it will be reviewed by the owner, and then it will be merged. So now you can use these concepts when you're developing. So I'll just go through exactly how you'll do that. So first, let's say I'm a new intern in this establishment, and I want to start making changes to the project that they're doing. They're doing a mobile app, and they want me to add some changes to it. They want me to change the color. They want me to add a button. So the first thing that I need to do is fork the project, because I want to make my own copy so that I could start working on it. And then first I want to add a button to the app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a branch called creating a button. And then in that branch, I'm going to make all my changes and stuff. So first I'll start like writing the code to make a button, and I'll save it, and that will stage my changes so far. And then when I'm really happy with the changes that I'm making, like let's say I finally found the right color that I want and like the right button shape that I want, and I'm happy with it, then I can commit that. And then in my branch, it will reflect those changes that I made. And then now I have a branch where I have a new button with the right color that I want and the right shape that I want. Then I can add that code as a pull request. So I can open a pull request to merge it to the original project. And then my manager can see it and they'll be like, wow, that's a really great button. And I would love to have that in the app. So they'll merge it, and then they'll merge that to the master branch. So let's do another poll. So when combining my pull request to the original repository, it's called committing, staging, merging, or combining. So for committing, put a thumbs up. For staging, clap. For merging, put a check mark. And combining, put an X. Okay, nice. So most people put check mark, and you're right, it is merging. So just to recap, when you're combining your pull request to the original repository, it's called merging. So that's basically the concepts of Git and GitHub. So we're going to try using it together as a team. So remember that link that I sent earlier? That's the repository that we're going to be using today. So what I want you to do is fork the repository. Remember, it's making your own copy of the repository, and then go to that forked repository that you created. I'm gonna give like 1 minute for each part. Also, a pro tip You don't have to make a fork if you're a collaborator on the project. So if you and your friend make each other collaborators on a project, then you're like the owner of it. So you don't need to fork your own project. But if it's someone else's, so right now I haven't made anyone a collaborator on this repository, you'll have to fork it on your own account. So by show of hands, can I see how many people have forked it already? Okay, nice. So most people have forked it. So it's basically a copy on your own account. So next, what we're going to do is I want you to open the intros.md file. So it's a MD means markdown. So it's kind of like a text file, except it's formatted. So what you'll do is you'll open that and then you're going to edit it. So if you click the little pencil button that's like in the top right-hand corner, then you can start editing it. And then what I want you to do when you edit it is to introduce yourself and put a fun fact about yourself. If you don't feel comfortable writing your name, you can put your username or like a fake name that you want, and then some random fun fact about you. Yes, what I have so far, I started off as a prompt, and we're going to be combining them together. So yeah, just make your changes into the code. And then we're gonna combine all of everyone's changes together so we can see them all. And once you're done writing that, you go to your own forks repository. So to the link that was sent earlier, you're going to fork that, and that creates a copy on your own account. And you go to that copy on your account, and then you go to the intros.md file, which is an introduction file where you can write your name and your favorite food, or sorry, a fun fact about you. So I put my favorite food is ice cream. And to edit it, this is what you have to do. You have to click on the top right-hand corner, you click the edit button, which is a pencil. No problem. Okay, so has everyone written their sentence? Okay, nice. Yes, so at the bottom, what you can do is you can commit your changes. So it will give you the option when you scroll down to write a title, but it gives you a default title if you want. It will say update intros.md, and then you can choose to comment something additionally if you want to go more in depth about your commit and what exactly it does. And then what you're going to do is click commit changes. So for this, we're not making like a lot of changes to this document. So you don't need to make a branch. You can commit it directly to the main branch. It will commit it directly to the main branch in your own repository, not my repository. So you're going to be the only one changing your own repository right now when you click commit. So you can just automatically do it to the main branch. But when you're working with like a lot of code, it's good to separate it into different branches. So once you're done committing, you click the green button to officially commit it. And then what you're going to do is go to your repository. And the first thing that you're going to do is check if there's anything upstream, which means that, so I'm the original creator of the repository. So sometimes I can make changes to it. And fetching upstream basically means that you're taking some of the changes that are from the original document. And then there's probably nothing there right now. So the next thing that you'll do is click contribute. And this is where you can open a pull request. So basically what you're doing is you're making a request to me to contribute your changes to my file that I have on my original repository. So I can see it right now. If I go to my GitHub, and I go to my CSU GitHub demo, so I could see that we have 2 pull requests already. So we have one by Jason. So here, I'm the owner of the project. So let me go through that again. So I can click on someone's pull request. I could review it. So this is what I see as a reviewer. So I see that this person wants to make this one commit, and they're changing one file. So this is how it looks. It's color coded, which is really great. This is what I really like about GitHub. So basically in green, it's what's added to the file. So here I have, my name is Vanessa and my favorite food is ice cream. And then we have a green line, which means that this user created a line that says, my name is Jason and you should follow my Instagram. And this is his @ So I've reviewed these changes and it looks good. It doesn't go against any of my changes, so I can just approve it. And then I can merge his pull request. So his file or his changes are going to be active in my repository as well. So I can click confirm merge. Okay, nice. So if I go to my repository, I can go to the intros.md and I'll see that on my copy, Jason's line is on mine. So that's basically because we merged his with mine. And now we can see more pull requests. So we can start doing that. Oh, so this is pretty interesting. This says that the branch conflicts. So let me check the files. So this person, they changed it on the same line that I merged Jason's line on as well. So what I can do is try editing it. So instead, what I'll do is I'll do a space underneath. And then I'll commit that. And then now, it will go correctly. Does everyone know why I did that? Like I made that space? Oh, never mind. Let me resolve this conflict. Sorry, I didn't resolve that correctly. But basically, I'm gonna go through that again, what I did wrong. So I thought that by just making a space, it would resolve the issue. But actually what's the issue is when I go to resolving conflicts, this is what I have in the main, which is Jason. My name is Jason. And then this is what I'm trying to pull in. So I added a space over here, which I wasn't supposed to do. So in order to resolve this conflict, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and move it over here instead, because right now they're conflicting on the same line. Yeah, I usually do this in GitHub desktop. I'm not sure how to do it on the web. Alex, do you know how to complete this resolve? Oh, okay, 1 second.
Yeah, you just have to remove the lines. So you remove the equals.
Oh, okay.
And then you remove all the main. So basically,
okay.
it just adds that in as a sort of like to show you. And then
okay.
you remove that, and then now it's resolved. So you can mark that as resolved.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No worries.
So usually when I'm like resolving commits, I usually do it on like GitHub desktop, which is a different application. So it looks a little bit different. So I didn't know how to do it on the website. But that's basically how you fix conflicts. Does everyone understand what are conflicts? Raise your hand if you don't really get it right now. Okay, so for conflicts, what we have right now is a bunch of people trying to make changes to this file, right? So when a bunch of people are trying to make changes to the file, sometimes they'll try to edit the same line. And the way that Git is thinking is it's like, oh, you're trying to change this certain line at the same time. Like it doesn't know that you want to make a space underneath and write it underneath. It doesn't know that you want to like append it afterwards. So what it does instead is it tells you that, oh my gosh, there's a conflict going on. Can you resolve it? Like, how exactly do you want it to be? Or like, how exactly do you want it to look? Because sometimes it won't expect exactly what you're thinking. So for this, there's also another conflict. There's probably going to be a lot of conflicts because everyone's trying to edit the same file. So what we're going to do is we're going to resolve the conflict. So as you could see, this person said, my name is Tal, and my name rhymes with cow. But it's conflicting because it's trying to edit what I already have in the file. So what I need to do is tell Git that I want it underneath like that. And then I just need to remove it here. So it's basically just telling it exactly how you want the code when you're merging it. And then you commit the merge. And yes, I understand. A good way to make, so one of the questions in the chat was, how would we make this type of change not conflict? So this is a really good question. So the reason why we're getting all of these conflicts is because everyone's trying to change the same file at the same time. But when people are, if you're working on a project, you're probably like 1 or 2 people working on, 1 or maybe 5 people working on the same project. And not everyone's trying to commit right at the same time, or like not everyone's trying to merge at the same time, right? So it will usually be 1 by 1. And what I mentioned before, fetching upstream. So fetching upstream means that you're updating your own repository that you forked with the original updates. I mean, with the updates that are in the original file. So if anyone hasn't put in a pull request yet, you can click fetch upstream and you'll see all of the changes that we're making right now. And then that's how you can avoid doing having conflicts in your code, by consistently updating and fetching upstream. Yeah, if you're using the console, or basically using it in the command line, the command is git pull. So you're pulling what are the updates upstream.
Yeah, also I was going to add that usually on projects, people use their own branches. They don't use the same branch as other people. So a lot of the time you just pull the latest changes from master and then you work on it through there. So the idea is everyone who made their change right now did it off the main branch, which you would never do in the workplace. In reality, you would have your own branch that's based off of master. And then you basically make the changes, and you make a PR that is on main, and then you can resolve conflicts if there's something on the same line after that. But then after you do that, the next person that wants to do changes will pull all the changes on their branch, and then they won't face any consequences.
Does everyone understand that about pulling, also known as fetching upstream? Also, 1 second, I'm going to make Alex co-host as well. Also wanted to check in how everyone's doing while I'm resolving all of these and merging them. How is everyone doing? Good, that's good. Everything's going good here too. This is also a cool way to learn about your classmates too, because I'm pretty sure everyone here is in comp sci, and most people here are in 1st or 2nd year. So you've probably never been on campus yet. So this is like a cool way to learn about other people in your class. So someone said that I'm still a little confused about the fetching portion. So fetching portion basically means that, so I have my repository that I have right now, and my repository is the main one. It's the original one. And the one that you have is a copy, which is your forked repository. So sometimes I'll make changes into the main one. So what I'm doing right now, I'm making changes to it, right? I'm merging other people's pull requests. And the one that you have is not updated yet. You need to manually update it. So by clicking fetch upstream, you're taking my changes that I have in the original document and you're reflecting it into your own forked repository. By doing that, you can avoid conflicts because you know what's the most recent update in the main branch. So, or sorry, the main repository. So when I merge in your changes, it won't conflict, or it will likely not conflict. Does that make more sense? You can find the fetch button by going to the repository on your side, like the one that you forked, and go to code. And when you click there, it will be like right underneath. I'll show you how it looks. It should be like this. It's beside contribute, and then there's fetch upstream. So you just have to click on it, and then there will be like a green button for you to fetch. So if you're done making your pull request, you could just take like a small break. I'm just going to be updating these changes right now. So you can grab some water or like a snack or something. And if anyone has any additional questions, don't be afraid to ask. We have lots of people in this, so anyone would be open to like asking questions, or even if anyone has any like anything to talk about. Oh, there's another question in the chat that says, is it possible to fork your own repository as like a test area for yourself? Yeah, so forking is copying a repository from other people. So yeah, as Alex is saying, he's saying if you want to test something, you should make a new branch instead. Because forking is like when you want to copy someone else's project, and if you own a project, then you can't fork it because you're like the owner of it. So there's no function for that, but you can create a new branch. Oh, right. So as Alex has said in the chat, if you see it say open a pull request when you click on fetching upstream, then it's basically saying that it's basically asking if you want to create a pull request in your own repository with my changes that I've made upstream. So just to review what I'm doing right now, I'm just basically seeing if these pull requests can be merged, and I'm merging them if they can, but if there's an issue, then I need to resolve the conflicts because they're editing the same line. So all I have to do is just take the one that I'm trying to merge in, and I put it at the bottom of the list that I'm trying to create. So I'm just going to finish up these pull requests, and then we'll get started with doing the second activity afterwards. So as you can see on my own, So someone asked, how do I send my code to you? So you can send your code to me by clicking contribute. So like we saw in the slides over here, we have the button that says contribute. So this is basically taking your code and then sending it to mine, and also known as like contributing, or you're requesting to merge. So you're opening a pull request. And then for what I'm going to do is I'm going to review it and then see if there's any conflicts, and then I'll merge it into my branch. And then everyone can see it on my public branch. Also, as I'm merging these, what you can do is you can fetch upstream so that you can have your copy updated as well as I go. So then you can see how that works and stuff if you haven't done that already. Also, does anyone want to read out their line, introducing themselves and a fun fact about themselves? Let me know if anyone wants to introduce yourself verbally, because this is like a very chill, low pressure environment. This is like a safe space for everyone. So anyone, if you want to introduce yourself, let me know. It's not like a very serious lecture or anything. It's just to teach everyone about Git and GitHub, and then also get to know each other and have experience like doing these different functionalities. So for the fetch upstream button, when you go to your forked repository that you created on your own account, if you go there, then you'll see beside the button contribute, there's going to be one that says fetch upstream. And then there, you just click on it. Oh, also raise your hand if you want to introduce yourself. This would be a good opportunity to meet more people in your program and also learn about other people. Oh, no problem.
I guess I'll start. Hi, my name is Abhi Shannon, and I'm in first year. I like to do a lot of things, just like, I like to do a lot of sports like soccer, I guess football, basketball, yeah, a lot of things. And I like to, in my spare time, I like to just learn new things, read about new like news and stuff, and like I like going out so like often. So if you guys want to, just like hang out or something, I'll be down. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks for introducing yourself. Nice to meet you. And yeah, if you don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself or putting on your camera, then you can also type in the chat to introduce yourself. Okay, nice. So we got through all the pull requests so far. So if you fetch upstream, or if you just check out my original repository, you can go to the intros.md and you could read everyone's introduction about themselves. So it has their name and a fun fact about them. So if you find someone that you think would be a cool friend, then yeah, that would be cool to meet them in person when you go in person or something. So let's go on with our workshop. So now that we've done that, we learned how to open a pull request, commit changes, stage your changes, and you saw how to resolve conflict, and you've also been able to fetch and merge. So yeah, so when you were creating a pull request, it probably had this type of page that where it will show able to merge and then create pull request. And then you just create your pull request like that. So actually, we can do this for our next activity. But for our next activity, we have a file on my repository, or actually you have it on your forked repository as well, called fix-me.md. Fixme.md. And there are a lot of spelling errors. So there's 4 songs with like a little bit of lyrics, and it will have a lot of spelling errors in them. So basically, I've created 4 issues on the fix-me file. So if you go to the repository and then you go to issues, then I have like some issues that I've created. So I wanted to just ask, would you want to do this as a group, or would you want to do this like as like a breakout room, or do you want to do this individually? By show of hands, put a raising, actually, put a check mark for breakout room and put an X for individual. Oh, Ariel, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Well, I was going to ask a bit back what the link is, but now I want to ask, were you supposed to put X's and B's? I didn't necessarily hear both letters.
Oh, so in the reactions, you could put different emojis. So you can put a check mark if you want to do breakout rooms, or you could put an X if you want to do it individually. So some people want to do breakout rooms, some people want to do individually. So what actually I can do is I can make breakout rooms available if you want to go in them. And if not, then you could just stay in the main room and then contribute on your own. But basically, I'm going to go over the activity first. So I have this file over here in my code, which is fixme.md. So I have 4 songs: Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Old Town Road, Single Ladies, and Hello. So I have like a line from each of them because these are such awesome songs, but there's so many spelling errors because I did this so late at night. So my issue is that I want someone to spell check it. So I created 4 issues in the issues thing, in the issues tab. So basically, I created fix Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, fix Single Ladies, fix Old Town Road, and fix Hello. So when you create a new issue, you can have people comment on them. So what I ask of you is to create a comment of what you think the correct line should be. And this is just like an activity so that you can get used to using the issues tab. So I'll open a breakout room if you want to work with other people, but you're also open to do it. You can also do it by yourself if you want to. One second. So if anyone wants to go in the breakout rooms, you can go. And if anyone wants to just do it individually, then you could just stay in this main room and then just create your comment on your own. Does everyone understand the activity? Okay, nice. So you're just going to comment on the issue of what you think it should be. And also something that you should do is create a pull request of the correct line that you think, or like the correct words. So basically create a pull request with your spell check answers. So I want you to edit the file that I've created, the fix me file, and fill in the correct words for the spell check. Because they all have like issues with it. And I could see them when you make a comment over here. Okay, nice. So I see one comment. So this person spell checked it. They added some letters. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. So this person put in their answer, which is good. That's perfect. So as a contributor, I can actually put smiley face. And I could put like different emojis, which is pretty cool. I like these functions.
En un mundo cada vez más conectado y digital, EvoPoint es la empresa de tecnología confiable y enfocada en las necesidades del cliente en el mercado dominicano. Con más de 10 años de experiencia, hemos creado servicios y soluciones personalizadas que superan las expectativas en calidad, tiempo y costo. Contamos con una sólida cartera de clientes nacionales e internacionales, incluyendo empresas de servicios, bancos y aseguradoras, todas líderes en sus categorías. Nuestros servicios abarcan el desarrollo de software, servicios UX UI, QA testing automatización, data analítica, computación en la nube, ciberseguridad, intranets, portales web y arquitectura de soluciones de software. Contamos con un talentoso equipo de colaboradores que son clave en nuestro éxito, permitiéndonos ofrecer un servicio coherente y de alta calidad a cada uno de nuestros clientes. Si buscas un socio confiable y centrado en el crecimiento, contáctanos hoy mismo y descubre por qué somos la mejor opción en tecnología. Seamos aliados estratégicos en el éxito de tu negocio.
Some people have submitted their introductions, so I'm going to merge them as well. So if you made the decision to make a pull request as well, with your changes, I could see them here. Also, put a thumbs up if you think that the CSCU should make a TikTok. Just 4 people. So maybe we shouldn't. I see someone raise their hand. Would you like to unmute yourself? Oh, okay. Also, what I forgot to show you is when someone makes a change or when they make a pull request, I can merge the pull request, but I can also see what exactly are the changes that they made. So when I click on file change, I could see this is the old thing that I had. These are the old lines that I had. And this is what they want to change. So they want to change these specific words and these specific lines. So each line that is green means that there's a change on the line. And then there's also a darker color in green saying like what exactly are the words that they're changing. So this is a really good tool to use, looking at it visually, so that when someone is making changes to your code or they want to, you can see exactly what they're changing and if you want to approve it or not. So I think that these lyrics are good. So I can approve it and so I can submit my review and then merge the pull request. Yeah, a single GitHub account for CU things. Yeah, that would actually be really cool for like any of our workshops that we have. We should actually do that so that we could work on a single account and then have all our projects that we do on our workshops there as well. Yeah, thanks for your idea. Because right now it is on my personal account. So again, for this person who wants to fix the spelling, they also want to, they actually want to change all of them. So they want to edit all of these. And then it will tell you exactly what the changes that they made were and what they were removing from mine and what they're adding to it. And then I could check if there's any conflicts upstream. So twinkle, twinkle, little star. So these are actually the same. Actually, there's just a comma. So I could just remove this. So I'm just resolving conflicts here. So when I'm resolving a conflict, what I'm doing is, this is one of the branches, or this is like the main, and then this is what I'm trying to like pull in. And this looks correct. So I'm going to remove this part instead. And then here I can I could remove one of them because they're the same. And then now I can merge this. Okay, so merge the pull request. And I'll merge the other one later. But moving on to our final activity that we have for tonight is to basically create your own repository. So this is probably going to take like 2 minutes or like 5 minutes, but I just want you to feel comfortable creating your own repository on your own account. And it could just be anything. You could delete it later, but you could name it like something fun. Like they give you suggestions of random words sometimes. And or you could just name it like GitHub demo or GitHub Workshop. And when you're done, just raise your hand so that we know how many people have finished creating their own repository. When you create your own repository, you can add your own title, add a description. You can choose to have a README file. And a README file is a markdown file. And markdown files are like text files, but they're formatted. And it's just something at the beginning of your repository. It will show at the front. And it's important to have those when you're creating projects so that people who read your code can understand how it's organized. So that's usually where people write what's going on in the project, how you can navigate it, some important like things to note when looking through it. So one of the questions is, are you supposed to edit the repository in the command prompt? So no, right now you don't have to do it in your command line because for a lot of people, not everyone has used the terminal yet. So we're just going to be using it on GitHub on the web. But if you can do it on the command line, feel free to do it that way instead. And how's everyone doing? Everyone made a repository? Okay, nice. Does anyone have questions about creating repositories? And does everyone understand what we learned today? Talking about repositories, creating pull requests, fetching upstream, making staging, making commits. Okay, nice. So I'm seeing a lot of yeses in the chat, and that's really good. A lot of people are kind of scared to learn Git and GitHub because they see that the words are very different from normal language. So they think it's really complex, but it's not as hard as you think. It's really just a way to control your files, and it's very widely used around the world. It's used in the developer community, and having this skill on your resume is really great for applying to internships and co-ops. And you could even do it on your own, like when you're doing projects with your friends or even doing it on your own, then it's really great for tracking your files. So now that we've gone through some activities and gone through the main concepts, we're also going to have some advanced topics. So these are some advanced topics that you're probably going to use in the industry. So Alex will be explaining these ones.
Do you want me to like share something? I can just talk about them. Hold on.
I have some of the definitions for each of them.
All right.
So here, take it away.
Yeah, so basically, there's certain things that you use a lot in the workplace. One of them is reverting. So if you actually do git revert, which is a command in your command prompt whenever you're in a repository, it will revert that commit, and you can actually go back in case you make a mistake. Because one of the issues that new developers have with GitHub usually is that they'll commit something and then it'll like mess up everything on their branch, and then they'll be like, oh no, now I have to like make a new branch, right? But you don't actually have to do that. You just have to revert the change. So that's something that I've used personally when I've made mistakes, and you usually should not use it because it can get messy, especially because you're trying to go back to an earlier state before you made any change. But there is that functionality if you do need it. So okay, so Vanessa, can you show your GitHub? And then can you go to like a pull request, just like the last one that was made? And scroll down to the bottom. You see that little arrow beside merge pull request? Yeah, okay. So there's actually 3 things you can do with a PR. So the one that makes a merge commit, you merge that in, and all the commits on your branch actually go to the master branch for me. And then click that click the 101 commits. Yeah, so if you see here, there's a pull, there's a change for every time she merges in, and then there's also a change basically that just like when you click on it, it'll show all the changes from that branch. But sometimes when you have like an easier I guess solution that you don't really need your changes to show this much inside the main branch, you can actually squash and merge. So squashing means that it will squash all your commits into one commit and then merge that. However, then you still come across like having that merge thing show on the main branch. Then something you can do is called rebasing. So rebasing is a bit different in the sense that instead of putting a new commit on the main branch to push your changes to it, you can just take all the changes from your branch and then just put it on top of main branch. So if you actually go to your PR and try to rebase it, they'll like see what happens. So you can squash will just basically squash everything, and then rebase will basically take all the changes and put it on top of the main branch instead of making a new commit. Yeah, you can just rebase it. And one thing you should know is that usually in the workplaces that you work in, whenever you make a PR, it will delete the branch automatically, so you don't have to like do anything with it. But a common thing that new developers do is that they'll keep using a branch, but that's actually not good practice, because you always want to make a new branch whenever you're working on a new feature for your project. You don't want to ever use the same branch, because then that's how things get messy. And the whole point of version control is to have a branch for each specific version that you're working on. So if you see here, since she rebased instead of merging, it's not considered like a merge in a sense where you make a merge commit and then you move all the changes on. Instead, it just takes all the changes that was from that branch and just puts it on top of any changes inside main. So it's a bit different from merging in that sense. That's pretty much what I have to talk about for rebasing and squashing. Like it's one of those things that if you know it, people like it in interviews specifically because a lot of devs don't really know about rebasing or reverting. Another thing is cherry picking. I don't know if you have a slide for that, but okay, yeah. So cherry picking is, if you go back to GitHub, so you see beside each commit, there's a little hash. So the one that we just did was FF. Yeah, so that one. So if you click that, I think that'll just bring up the commit. But basically, there's that little hash. It says commit, and then there's like I just 30 character hash beside it. The idea is, let's say someone made a change in their branch that you want in your branch. You can actually just take that change specifically instead of having to merge their stuff into your branch. And the reason you do that is because sometimes people are working on something and they've done like many changes and you only want one specific thing. So you can just cherry pick it and grab that specific thing, put that on your branch so that whenever you want to push changes to theirs, it won't conflict, let's say. So yeah, that's used a lot. Definitely, I've seen that used a lot. So just knowing those features, they're a bit more advanced. So I don't expect any of you to be like, oh yeah, I got that straight off the bat. It's just things that I've noticed when I was working that I've like commonly used. And another thing is that there's something called GitHub Desktop. Don't ever use that. I mean, people start using it and then it becomes a bad habit, but in the real world, no one really uses that software. They mainly use Terminal because it's like almost essential now. So definitely practice with Git specifically. So practice your commands, get them, I guess, like understood. And then once you understand all of them, then you can like start trying out like rebasing and, you know, all that other stuff. So yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Alex. Does anyone have any questions from what he said? Like he said, it's okay if you don't get it right off the bat, but it is something that you could review later on. So we went over reverting, rebase, cherry picking, and squashing. And if you want to review anything that we learned today, there's GitHub guides, which is basically documentation on all of the concepts that you'll use in GitHub. And there's also GitHub Student Developer Pack. This is actually a really good package that you can use. If you sign up for the GitHub Student Developer Pack, it's free. And you basically, I think you just have to sign up with your Ryerson account. And when you do that, it gives you a bunch of either subscriptions for free or like free trials. You can get different softwares and extensions using that pack. And if you still feel like you don't really understand about Git and GitHub, there's a Git and GitHub for Beginners crash course. It's by Free Code Camp. It's a really good program, like Free Code Camp. They have like online resources and tutorials on YouTube, and they basically teach like a lot of computer science topics. So it's a really good channel to check out. So does anyone have any questions for us today? We still have 20 minutes left in the call. So if anyone has any questions regarding what we learned today, if anything you want to go back on and re-explain, or if you have any questions in general. Also, Andre has linked all of the links that I have here in the chat. So if you wanted to click on those. So how can you revert a commit? So Alex, you mentioned about reverting a commit earlier. How would you do it? Do you do it on GitHub or in the command line?
You do it in the command line. You usually, you can do like git and then space revert and then space, and you put the hash for that commit, and then it will go through and it will revert that change from that branch.
Oh, okay. So you need to do it in your terminal. Sorry about that.
I can show my screen if you want me to.
Oh, okay, sure.
All right, hold on. Let me see if this works. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so basically this is one of my projects. So if you type git branch, you'll see that I'm on the snapshot branch. You can change between branches by doing checkout. So git checkout main, it'll check out to main, and then it says that I'm 5 commits behind on this branch. So it'll say use git pull. So git pull will just take all the changes from GitHub, and it'll pretty much just grab all those changes and add it to you know, my files on my desktop right here. And then you can do git log, and git log shows you all the information that you saw on GitHub. Some of the differences is it'll say the author, also like kind of it shows you the information, but also shows you like which branches it's pulling from or where they originally were on. And you can just press Q to get out of that. So let's say I want to revert. Let's see, hold on. If I git checkout, let's make a new branch. So you can make a new branch for doing -B, and then the name of our new branch will be like test. So I made a new branch based off main. So if I do git log, you'll see that I have all the changes from main. And then if I do git revert, I think I can revert this one. Oh, wait. Copy that. Oh, well. Oh, yeah. Okay. Reverting merges is a whole different thing I will not get into. So I will choose another commit because that one is too much. Let's see if this one works. Yeah, so go through and I'll say you want to revert all these modifications. And then if you're like, yeah, this is like what I want to do, you can just click, basically, I guess you just press escape and then Q, I believe. Hold on. Oh, this is Vim, I forgot. So you put Q and then there, now it reverted that change. So if I go git log, it made a new commit and the new commit reverts this commit, right? And then let's say I want to actually cherry pick that. So if I do cherry pick and then I put this one, oh, I copied something else. Oopsies. Cherry pick this commit. So let me just, which one did I take? This one. Copy this, paste it here. And then now I pulled those changes from master pretty much and then put it on. So then if I look at the log, they put the commit back on. So does that make sense? It's a lot of stuff, so I understand. People are like, I don't get it.
Since you have your terminal open, do you want to show how to do the different commands that we learned today in the terminal?
Yeah, sure. So you want to, which ones do you want to fetch? Get fetch? Well, this is like, hold on. It won't really show anything because I don't have any changes. But if there were changes, it would. Now, if I actually clone Vanessa's repository, you go code this one, Then you type git clone. So actually, let's cd out of here to my GitHub folder, git clone, and then I copy and paste Vanessa's link. It will automatically make that on my desktop, so I can cd into CSU git demo. And then the log is just all of the fixes. Any changes I can pull? Probably not, no. But what feature should I show? Or what features would you guys want to see in Git specific?
Can you zoom in a little bit so that people can see it?
There you go.
You don't have to like enter it, but can you just show the commands that like when you're committing something, or when you're yeah, if you were to commit something, like how would you type it out?
So let me actually, hold on. Let me change my share screen to the terminal. And then let me open up VS Code. Let me just change a file real quick.
So basically, when you're doing it in the terminal with the commands, you're making changes in your own code editor. Let's say you have like VS Code or Atom, any like editor that you have. You're going to edit the code files in there, and then you reflect it in the terminal that you want to like commit.
Yeah. So git status is a command that basically shows any changes that you've done, shows the files that you've changed. So it tells you here no changes have been added. So the way it works is you actually have to go through and you have to add intros.md. And then now if you do git status, it'll say that we have added this pretty much to our new commit. So the idea is, let's say if I changed fix me as well, I just added like hello in there, and then I go git status. So now if I committed this, it would only commit the changes for intros.md, and it wouldn't commit fix me, right? So then I have intros added. So I go git commit -m because I want to send a message as well. And I'll be like, added my introduction. And then now you have this, you committed it, but you actually haven't pushed it to GitHub. So the idea is like all the changes are on your local, but you haven't used like, you know, the internet to send the changes up the stream pretty much. So you have to push it. And then it gives you this message saying that basically GitHub doesn't know about this branch because it's like local to us. So it can't push changes to a branch that it doesn't know about. So we basically have to just tell it like, all right, we're going to make this branch on GitHub now. And then we're going to copy all our changes and then put it to that branch. So paste it. Oh, well, I don't have permission from Vanessa to add it. But if I did have permission, it would send all the data upstream and then it will show up on her GitHub. And then I can make a PR on there. Usually you don't ever make a PR inside your terminal. Nobody ever does that. So that's pretty much how you mainly do stuff in Git for that specific stuff. I mean, what else have we learned today that I could do?
I think you went over most of it already.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think this was like a good way to show how it is in the terminal. Has anyone else used the command line in class? I know that for second years you use it in CPS 393, but has any of the first years used it? Like by a show of hands, or like by a check mark? Check mark if you've used it before, or X if you've not used it before. Does running Python count? I mean, you have technically used it by using the terminal. It's just you basically open it and then you make commands. And there are different types of commands that you could use depending on what you have installed.
Also, another thing that is helpful is, so you see that for git status, we have fix me. So if we add that and you're like, oh no, I didn't mean to add that. Like, what am I supposed to do? You can just do git remove and then fix me.md. And then, watch, did I do it correctly? The following file, I think it's this. Wait, hold on, actually, I might have forgot. Oh, actually, no, it's just this, git reset. And then, oh, well, actually, okay. I forgot, but basically git reset resets any changes that you've done and makes it the last commit, the version that you're working on. But sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you just want to like remove the file. But the command I showed you before actually just removes it from your files. It doesn't actually remove it from the commit. But another thing that you can do is if I go and I change one of the files, and then I go here. Oh, did I save it? Okay. And I go here, and then I tried to check out main. I bring my changes with me, right? Which is something that you don't want to do sometimes. So what you can do actually is you can do git stash, and then git stash pretty much takes any changes that I've done, and then it puts it into this little like, I guess like a box or something, and I can just save it for like safekeeping. So if I do git status, there's nothing there. So it's like, oh no, all my work is gone. But actually it's not all gone. If you do git stash pop, it takes it out of the box and it plops that on the branch that you're working on right there. So the idea is like, let's say I've made changes and I want to check out another branch to do other changes, but I don't want to bring those changes with me. And I also don't want to commit them yet because I'm not done. Then you can just use git stash, which is actually really helpful.
Yeah, I've used that a lot on my co-ops too. So it's a very useful command.
And that's all I have to show, actually.
Thanks, Alex.
You're very welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions? We're close to 9 o'clock. And it could be about anything. It could be about what we learned today. It could be any questions in general that you may have. And yeah, just let us know if you have any questions. Or you could like send like a direct message if you don't feel comfortable saying it in the everyone chat. And then I could just read it out loud and then I won't say your name. Also, since there's still some people here, are there any events that you want this year that you like really, really want that you didn't hear about, or like any suggestions? Or like anything that you want to learn? Did you like this workshop? Did anyone like this workshop? Oh, nice. A series for GitHub would be cool. Yeah, maybe we could have like another workshop just for the command line, possibly, or for like other things, other topics. Thanks for joining. I'm glad everyone, or like I'm glad people found the workshop valuable. Okay, sounds great. So so there are some people who are interested in having an in-person event, which is really good. We're hoping to host an in-person event soon. And it would be great to meet everyone, and then for everyone to meet each other and socialize after being virtual for a long time. Oh, I'm glad that you've learned something tonight. That was the main goal, for everyone to like at least learn a bit about Git and GitHub. And it's just an introduction. If you feel like there's still so much to learn, there's lots of documentation in the link that we sent earlier. And it's good that you learn the basics today. Alex or Andre, do you have anything else you want to add today?
No, I think I've said everything. I mean, one thing I will say is that Git is used everywhere. You will be using it probably for the rest of your life if you still program. So it's something that is pretty much essential for learning. I mean, when you first look at it, it kind of looks confusing and you're like, what does everything mean? But there's a lot of tutorials online. And also you kind of learn a lot of it in like the workplace itself. So like, don't stress if you don't get it right now, because in reality, you'll go to the workplace, you'll say, oh, I don't know how to do something. And then someone that you're working with will tell you. And then you'll learn after practicing it a bunch of times. So don't worry.
Yeah, I agree. Like with developing, it comes with practice. It's like anything, like riding a bike or driving. Like you have to keep practicing for you to get the hang of it. Like no one gets it right away, and no one really gets it like right off the bat with theory too. So if you feel like you don't have like that much practical experience yet, just keep using it or trying your best to use it. And then in the industry, once you use it like every day, 9 to 5, then you'll definitely get the hang of it. So we're approaching 9 o'clock. Thanks everyone for coming. I was wondering if Andre wanted to close off the event, or
if anyone has any more questions, you could keep going until 9. So yeah, just keep on. If you have any more questions, just keep asking, because we will be closing soon.
And thank you all for coming. If you want to stay updated with us, be sure to follow our Instagram or our Twitter. And if you don't have any social media, we also send out newsletters every beginning of the month. It's every first Monday of the month. So we'll send out a newsletter with our events that are coming up, and you could check that out. So be sure to check your emails. And also, yeah, check your emails. That's it.
All right. So as we approach 9, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. We will be hosting more events this year, both online and in person. So stay tuned for those. You can receive updates through our Instagram at Ryerson CSCU. And yeah, it's 9 o'clock. So thank you all for coming. Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining and staying. Everyone, have a good night.
En un mundo cada vez más conectado y digital, EvoPoint es la empresa de tecnología confiable y enfocada en las necesidades del cliente en el mercado dominicano. Con más de 10 años de experiencia, hemos creado servicios y soluciones personalizadas que superan las expectativas en calidad, tiempo y costo. Contamos con una sólida cartera de clientes nacionales e internacionales, incluyendo empresas de servicios, bancos y aseguradoras, todas líderes en sus categorías. Nuestros servicios abarcan el desarrollo de software, servicios UX UI, QA testing automatización, data analítica, computación en la nube, ciberseguridad, intranets, portales web y arquitectura de soluciones de software. Contamos con un talentoso equipo de colaboradores que son clave en nuestro éxito, permitiéndonos ofrecer un servicio coherente y de alta calidad a cada uno de nuestros clientes. Si buscas un socio confiable y centrado en el crecimiento, contáctanos hoy mismo y descubre por qué somos la mejor opción en tecnología. Seamos aliados estratégicos en el éxito de tu negocio.